Are you ready for this?
Are you ready for this?
What'd you just do? You just left the bed.
No.
Did you? What are you?
Was I not supposed to do that?
No. What happened? Oh, wait, we're back. Do. It's an afternoon cocktail. What was our intro music? We're on.
We're on right now?
We're on right now. Can you believe it?
Well, hi.
Hi, welcome back. Right?
Great to see you guys.
Glad that you could stop by, right? I mean, just kind of, it's like open the door, go, right? Like
welcome to Afternoon Cocktail. This is episode 6. And we are happy to be here. I'm sitting here with Chuck Lavecchi of Udicci.TV. Say hello.
Hello.
Before you take that, we already said multiple hellos.
Multiple hellos, and it's Afternoon Cocktail, so
yeah,
cheers.
So
you want to hear? So, cheers.
Cheers.
To you out there in TV land or internet land or whatever it is.
The land of computers.
Land of computer land. So that's kind of good. So what do we have going on over here?
Okay, well, for those who are first-time tuner-inners, if that makes any sense.
Tuner-inners. Tuner-outers. You can be an outer.
Tuner-inners, tuner-outers, whatever you are. This is a show that's creatively based. This is our 6th episode, and today's theme is strength and courage. So I brought along some really special guests that are extremely talented, creative people, including producer Jeffrey Woodard. He is a producer of Sunday Night Shakedown. He's
cool.
He does voiceovers. He's a radio personality. He's fantastic. He's a drummer in 2 bands.
Different voices. Let's go to our radio voice right now.
He's definitely one of the coolest people you'll ever meet. So I'm looking forward to speaking with him and having the tables reversed because he usually interviews me or and various other people in the
that makes sense.
Field.
That's fun.
We have Puka Estacio. She is working on our Color My Canvas currently, which is a large blank canvas that each of our guest artists from the past shows have been contributing to. So they've been basically adding their fine art touch to our blank canvas, and we're going to donate it as a community piece in time. And we're going to interview her later, and she brought a bunch of artwork for us to show you. So look forward to that. And then
I think that's coming together really cool.
Yeah,
when
really
you
cool.
first brought that idea, I'm like, okay, I get it. I wonder how it'll come. And it's coming together really cool.
I can't wait to see like the end.
Yeah,
Like it is very neat to see like all that empty space getting filled. And then I have my good friend The Gift coming today too. He is a spoken word phenomenon. This kid is amazing. And he's also an actor, and he does a little modeling, which he's a little shy about, but I'm going to, drill him on that
so
stuff
it'll be like,
too.
Look at me and look really good, because that's how I look. My name is okay.
He's going to give us his right side or left side, depending upon
which side is my best side.
Which seat suits him better.
Yeah.
But so that's our show today, and it's going to be awesome.
And it's strength and courage.
Strength and courage.
Strength and courage. So, we always start off here. So I'm going to ask you, strength and courage. What does strength mean for you? I'm going to turn the tables on you today.
I know. What the heck? I'm supposed to be asking the questions. Strength means a lot of things to me. The reason why I brought this up was because I was reflecting back on our past episodes, and the one thing that each of our guests have in common, despite all their differences and their backgrounds and their careers, I think it took a level of strength and courage for each of them to put themselves on the mark and where they are today, to get them to where they are today. So I brought that up. Strength to me is, the driving force in pushing yourself to push those boundaries and to try new things and to, I don't know.
Well, no, I love it. I've been on this quest today in the past few days to really kind of understand some broader thoughts in life, and I kind of want to share a couple of things that happened. Like recently, I've been working with some organizations, and I came across this situation where we have 2 professional people who, a lot of experience. I mean, very, very, everywhere. They've got the right resume, both of them. Mm-hmm. And to see, one side sees something this way, and one side sees something this way, and neither one of them is really wrong, right? And it's like, it's not that you're wrong. It's just that you got to figure out how to make it work together, right? So it was interesting for me to come across the idea where I started thinking, like, what is courage? And I really started questioning, like, what if everything about myself, what if everything I believed was wrong? Right? What if everything that I thought to be true was wrong? And I'm like, I need courage to face that. And then it's like, again, in that situation, and that's, like I said, that's where it started. It's not even that you're wrong, but what do we do with those times? When you talk about everybody, this diverse background, we're never going to agree on everything. But what do we do when we come up against those times when there's disagreement? And we always talk about community and unity. And what do we have to, courage to me is like we have to overcome ourselves.
Oh, that is so great. I love that you just said that. No, I think that's so entirely right. I find strength and courage to be, in a way, very similar, but in the same sense, they're completely different. I think one could be a catalyst for the other.
I agreed. I absolutely, like, the strength is that thing where all right, fine, I'm going to take that step of courage, step out and go, all right, you know what, maybe this is beyond me. Maybe there is something more. Maybe I don't see it. So I'm going to take that courageous step. And all of a sudden you're in this wilderness that you have to battle through, so you gain strength. I think they do work well together.
I think strength is what you need to formulate, your decision, to take a leap and a bound, and the courage is what puts you in action. I think courage is not something that I always considered myself a strong person up until kind of recently, because I had I had a moment that humbled me to a point where I felt weak, and I was like, wow.
Don't you love those moments?
No, they're awful.
Seriously?
No.
Are you serious?
No, I don't love it. Not right now.
I think at those points when you're humbled, you are at your strongest. Because I think it's those times. I mean, when you are humbled, that basically means that your entire ego, your entire pride was just shot, and you suddenly start realizing, wow, maybe I'm not all that. But then you start to remember, but I am something. I didn't lose anything that made me good when I got knocked off my high horse, when I was shown that maybe I was wrong. I didn't lose anything that was good about myself. I just had the opportunity to gain something better.
Yeah. Well, you're apparently much more positive than I am. But when you put it in that perspective, absolutely. I wish I would have saw that 4 days ago, But no, that's very true.
Facebook. I'll say it right there. That one good.
No, that's very true. I agree with you.
I think but I get it. A lot of people, when they're humbled, they take it as humiliation.
Yeah.
It's like, well, no, it's only humiliation if somehow you thought you were so perfect in the first place.
But look at those first 3 letters of both those words, humble and hum. But it's also the first 3 letters of human, and I think. And humor. Humor,
if we don't take ourselves so serious.
But all those things are, things as human beings that we experience and go through, and whether you like it or not, it's just there, and you have to find the positive outlet in all of it, I guess, to some degree.
The root that you're getting at there, the HUM, back in Latin, it actually means a greater self. Okay, I'm kidding. I made that up completely. I have no idea what that is.
Well, also, I was in the supermarket today, and I found this, and it is one of those quotes from Wegmans.
What would you attempt? Here, let me put it on the camera so people can see it a little bit. So, let's see here.
Read it out loud because I didn't look.
All right. What would you attempt to do if you knew you could not fail? So, let me ask you, what would you attempt to do if you knew you could not fail?
I would take over the world.
Isn't that what we all want to do? Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Basic sustenance, right? Self-actualization, self-transcendation. Take over the world. That's it. That was exactly what we all wanted to do.
Well, I think what stood out to me was the fail part, because I think as humans, that's the one thing we all fear. Nobody wants to ever fail at anything, right? So we try to succeed and try to take these steps forward in order to get ourselves to what we think is a level of success, right? Mm-hmm. But yes, you have to fall down multiple times before you get there, right? And I don't know. I don't know. Why does this stand out to you?
Well, on the earlier show when we were talking about it, we were talking specifically about business. We were talking about this. So often people fear failure because maybe it just is. It's humiliating, right? It's like humiliation to fail. But the reality is, anything that's ever been great required failing numerous times. And we were saying earlier that the whole idea that failing forward, and as long as you learn from your failures, that's what life is all about. It sounds so cliche until you do it. Then all of a sudden you're like, oh, all those people who were saying that, who actually accomplished this stuff in life, they were actually being serious. I've got a little quote on my computer at home from Walt Disney, and it says, doing the impossible is fun. Accomplishing the impossible is fun. And it's in that same idea that if you think you can't fail, what would you take on? And when you say take on the world, I think it's actually, what I would take from that is take on the world as I was intended to live it. Mm-hmm. Right? So what would that be for you? What would it be for you if you had the courage to step out and simply say, I'm peeling off all that you know of me, and inside of me is this little beginning of what I know can be great inside of me. What would that be? What would you do at that point?
I feel like I'm already doing it.
Okay.
In a way, I feel like doing stuff like this, I never thought I would do a show like this in my life, but I don't know, every day I try to challenge myself, and I've said this many times in the past, I look at life from the perspective that I want to see what I can't do. Because right now, until I'm proven that I can't do something, I think I could do anything.
I agree with you. And there's actually a saying, and I keep getting it wrong, but it's something like it's not to fear how powerful we're not, but to know how powerful we are. I always get it wrong, but it is exactly that. We can achieve anything. Mm-hmm. I honestly 100% believe we can achieve anything.
If you want to achieve it.
If you want to achieve it. The other piece that comes in, though, is should we achieve it? Are we achieving it for ourselves, or are we achieving it for something greater? Are we achieving are we helping our community? Because I don't believe that we will ever realize our greatest potential if the only thing we're doing is pursuing a dream that makes us happy. I think that we have to find that thing which has an impact on humanity and that actually leaves the world a better place than we found it, whatever that is. And, giving people encouragement, giving people hope. Because I think courage as a whole, we need to give it back as encouragement. And if we walk out of this world without doing that, I think we missed it. I don't know, what do you think?
I think there's just so much to life that, creating a positive environment around you is what's going to keep you in a positive mindset and doing positive things and making moves. I think if you have a community based around you with people full of that, then there's only room for progression in my eyes, you know? So I think, people definitely lose out by not encouraging one another, or by, the people that are, I know there's some people that just love to make other people miserable,
I can't understand that.
I can't either, but I
can't understand that, but you're right, they're out there.
There's plenty of people like that, and it's unfortunate, but I think, all it takes is a few strong individuals to kind of change the mood, the general tone and things, and that's it,
I never doubt what a small group of committed people can do, for indeed only such has changed the world.
Mm-hmm. I saw that quote recently.
Yeah.
Did I send that to you?
I don't know. It's Margaret
Yeah, I did send that.
We just kind of keep taking. We just take it.
I was like,
well, you had a couple other quotes that you wanted to read, and I know we want to get out of the show here. So let's think about these. So
just to wrap this up, though, I wanted to say about failure. I think it takes strength and courage to choose not to fail, you know, or to choose to take a risk and to, you know, take those leaps and bounds, you know, with the risk of failing.
When you say choose not to fail, I guess what I would say is to persevere through the failure.
Yeah, that's right. A better way of putting it for sure.
Because through the perseverance is where our actual character begins to come out. We find out more about ourselves by pushing through the failure than we do the failure itself.
I agree. That Georgia O'Keeffe, you want to read that quote?
No, you want to create one's own world in any of the arts takes courage. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because, I mean, can you imagine standing up on stage trying to, like, perform some original thing that you did? I mean, could you imagine people, like, what if they don't clap? I mean, oh, wait, you can imagine that, can't you?
I deal with that. That was like my last show.
You should get an app, a clapping app. Clap, clap, clap.
Get one of those, like...
I can't imagine. I mean, just it does. You know, that's one of those things. Like, did I make a fool out of myself? Like, whatever. So what? Somebody didn't embrace that. They don't understand it. They don't get it. That's not a reflection on you. It's not a reflection on them. It's just such different worlds that you came from that you couldn't connect in that instant. Yeah. But we do take it so personally. But that is fantastic. That is absolutely truth. New word, truth.
I think going back to, you know, like what I said earlier, you know, like I felt like with Carrie Vaughn, I said that to her, like I thought she was really courageous for opening up her own dance studio. You know, I think a lot of people let certain things hold them back from, you know, taking a risk in opening a business. And she never had formal, like, dance instruction. Right. But it was something that she loved and she was passionate about, and she's a great dancer. And she's like, you know what, I'm going to open a dance studio. Most people wouldn't wouldn't be so courageous enough to do something like that, because they think that, oh, well, I don't, you know, have a background in dance, or like I don't have like a formal education.
Right. She just taught herself and opened a business around it.
Whatever, I'm going to do this and it's going to be great, and she has a great business and she's great at what she does. You know, I think that she's a prime example of somebody who had courage.
I think that as I'm sitting here listening to you, it really kind of shows your heart, because I guess I've been in finance for so long and in this side of business that I've lost sight of the fact that truly it does take courage to get out and start your own business that way. And the fact that you still see that in people is just so it's so encouraging. It's so I appreciate greatly that you actually see that, and you see that as courage in individuals, and that you can see those characteristics in others, and that you're out there expressing them. And I know that's what you want to do, is to, you know, develop our community. But I just, like I said, I thank you for that, because it's been so long for me that it's just, like, I don't think of it as courage. I think of it as a job. And I think that when you look at somebody like Carrie, you're absolutely right. It truly does take courage for her to get up and say, I'm going to do something, and
I think
I'm going to get up on a stage.
It's really admirable, you know, and every person I've invited on this show, you know, like I really truly admire for, you know, what it took for them to overcome their obstacles and, you know, to continue to thrive creatively. You know, it's like the creative field is kind of tough, you know.
Oh, I can imagine.
It's tough to take on, and, you know, you're up against a lot of opinions and views, and you know, a lot of times it's a big risk because you're not making a ton of money, you know, but I think what everybody has in common is that they have a passion for something. Absolutely. And they're doing something that makes them feel good, and they're projecting that, you know, and being around more people like that, I mean, I think it's, I don't know, to me it's awesome.
And it is interesting. Again, the more I think about it, you're out here, and this is the whole purpose behind you wanting to do this show, is that you wanted to support the people who are going out and taking that risk, taking that step on courage, and you wanted to actually give to them, and like, hey, you know what? We're behind you. We support you, and that's something to appreciate. I hope you understand that every time you walk away, that you are greatly appreciated for what you're doing here. I hope you get that.
Thanks, Chuck. He always makes me feel so warm and fuzzy. Well,
fuzzier. All right, anyways, so let's have the quote, and then we have to get on with the show. This other one. So what is this one?
I've been absolutely terrified every moment of my life, and I've never let it keep me from doing a single thing that I wanted to do. I love that quote because...
Is that you?
No, I wish I was as prolific. No, that's another Georgia O'Keeffe quote. I came across these and I thought they were great. I love that because I think life is so very scary.
Yes, it is.
You know,
yes,
and like I said, like going back to, you know, taking risks and having the courage to, you know, overcome that fear of failing and knowing that there's potential for that to take place, but you know, just being like, you know what, I'm going to try it, I'm going to do it, and if it doesn't work out, then I'll figure it out from there. You know,
absolutely,
it's scary.
It's part of the journey, right?
Yeah.
It's. I mean, you know, that's true. That's true for me. I don't know many people that it's not true for. Like being absolutely terrified every moment of your life. It's unfortunate that we feel that way, but I think there's a lot of people out there who do live in their minds, and I'm among them, who there is just such a great fear that you live with each and every moment. It may not, you may not see it, you may not experience it, because it's something that they're battling within themselves, because they know if they give in to that voice, that it's never going to be a life worth living. Mm-hmm. So it's a great quote.
I think that second part of that quote too, it just talks about having a choice, you know? You have a choice to let that fear hold you back from doing the things your heart really wants to set out to do, or you could just take that risk and push yourself to do it, and hopefully, you know, you come out on the other end in a better place. You know, I don't know. I just thought that was cool.
You know that I have a faith, so I would actually liken this. There's two verses that come to mind as I think about this, or one reality that my faith would teach is that each of us has a free will. And what we choose to do with that will is where we go with our life. And then there's one that says the heart is deceitful above all things. And that's the thing, the heart, you know, that fear inside. If we listen to that fear, then we actually let our will die. We actually sit there and go, okay, I'm too afraid to take that step. But it's when we take that free will and we put it to action to overcome those fears. Because if we sit there and listen and say, you know, this is going to hold me back, or that's going to hold me back, or this person didn't treat me well, or that person didn't treat me well, then you're absolutely right. We're never going to realize the life that we are intended to live. Mm-hmm. You know, what our greater purpose was.
Definitely.
Well, I guess I should probably get out of here so you can... What?
It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure.
You know, a pleasure
I always
and
enjoy
an
kicking
honor
off the show.
To share my first sips of this key lime afternoon cocktail with you. And thank you for the great conversation.
Oh, absolutely.
Always.
And who's up now?
So we're bringing up Woody next. Are we going to take a little sponsor break?
I don't think they prepped for those today. So.
Well then. Get
I'm
out of here.
I'm out of here.
Get out of here. No, I'm just kidding. That was Chuck LeVecchie. He's from Udicci Television. You'll be seeing his face plenty more times if you tune into this. I'm going to bring my good friend Woody up to talk about being an awesome businessman.
Thank you. Thank you. It's good to see you.
Oh, it's fantastic seeing you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on your show.
Of course. Well, cheers.
Cheers to you.
Thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure. I'm glad to be here. It's a fun environment. It's a good place to be.
This is your first time here, you said.
It is.
In Blue, in general, yeah?
Right. Yeah, I've seen pictures of it on Facebook, but I've never actually been here in person, so it's good to be here.
Well, tell them a little bit about yourself. So, you know, this is live streamed everywhere. Mm-hmm. So for those outside of Rochester, how would you explain yourself in a very few words, I guess?
Yeah, I'm not good at keeping things succinct to just down to a few words, so that'll be a challenge for me, but I'll do the best I can. I'll do the best I can to keep a long story short. But I was born and raised in Medina, New York, which is an hour west of Rochester, out near Niagara Falls. And I had a very good upbringing, a wonderful family, wonderful friends. My childhood friends were great. My family are great, and still have wonderful relationships with my family and friends to this day, which I'm happy to report. And I had a very good upbringing, and at a very young age I became passionate about music, and I remember it was around the time that I was in junior high or high school that I also developed a very strong interest in radio as well, and became curious about radio broadcasting and that kind of thing. But even as a child, I saw the very strong relationship between radio and music, and how it's a very symbiotic relationship. So when I was a kid, I can remember, sitting on my parents' kitchen floor and just banging on pots and pans and Tupperware bowls with wooden spoons, as so many young drummers do. And I just became very obsessed with drumming and music in general, and it was very much a part of my life. And I can't explain why, but it just has always been that way for me. And I think you can relate to that too, because you're a talented musician and you're passionate about music.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but was anybody in your family musical?
In my immediate family, I did not have any musicians, believe it or not.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, my mom loves to sing, and she has a good voice, but she was never a formally trained singer or anything like that. But I'm very lucky because even though there were no musicians in my immediate family, everybody in my family appreciated music, and there was always a diversity in the music that they listened to, and I was brought up naturally in that environment, which I think helped to foster my own musicianship and my own interest in playing drums and getting involved in music.
Okay.
And so as I got older, I started playing in rock bands and jazz bands outside of school with some very good friends of mine who are still great musicians in their own right to this day, and they're good friends of mine to this day. And I played in the marching band and the concert band and the jazz band in school and everything like that. So that was a lot of fun, and it gave me some good experiences. And then when I graduated from Medina High School, I went off to college at Fredonia.
I know. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, I went to Fredonia State University, and you went to Fredonia too.
I did. Yes.
See, that's one of the many things Amanda, Ashley, and Woody have in common. We both went to Fredonia. We both
great.
look
I love
good.
that about you.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like every time I hear, actually, this guy Gary Werzer, who is one of our artists, had a show. He was a Fredonia, or he went there also. And
cool. Very
that
cool.
was cool. I just have a natural kinship.
Yeah, definitely. You can always tell anywhere you go in the world. You can always have a good vibe with somebody who went to Fredonia College. It's a good place. So that's one of the many things you and I have in common.
So you studied broadcasting there?
I did. I went to Fredonia and had a great experience there. I got a Bachelor of Arts in Music, and I also got a Bachelor of Science in Radio Communication at Fredonia. And then when I graduated from there around 2000, I moved up here to Rochester. So I've been living in Rochester for just about 14 years now.
Okay.
And I think I'm a full-fledged Rochesterian now. And I've had a great experience in Rochester. My first real job, when I first moved to Rochester, I was very young and naive, and I didn't know what I was doing. But I was actually a salesman for a radio station in Rochester, and I thought I couldn't really get on the air at the time, which is what I wanted to do. I wanted to be on the air broadcasting, but I thought, well, if I get a job in the sales department at a radio station, then at least that gets a foot in the door. And it gets me some good experience and gets me some references and networking. And come to find out, I really wasn't the world's best salesman. But it did get me into the radio scene in Rochester, and it certainly helped me to develop my musical skills as well, because by that point I was playing drums in a lot of bands around Rochester and developing both my music and radio career, which was very fledgling at the time, but over the past 14 years I've been able to develop it through perseverance and strength and courage, like you all were talking about.
So now, how did you, so the Sunday Night Shakedown is how I met you.
That's right.
And thank you for doing that. Because,
it's my pleasure.
So for those of you who are out of Rochester, the Sunday Night Shakedown is a local radio show that Woody produces.
Yes.
He's producer of it, and basically it gives artists like myself, local performing original artists, a chance to have their music played on air.
Yeah.
It's on 98.9 The Buzz. It's an Entercom station.
Right.
And it's great, and he interviews various artists, very, very supportive of our local music scene here, which is phenomenal. If you haven't caught on to that.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm proud to be a part of it. I'm very thankful to be a part of it. Yeah. Thank you.
So how long have you been doing that? How long has that been going on?
I've been the producer and co-host of the Sunday Night Shakedown for 6.5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been a part of that show for 6.5 years, and it's been a wonderful experience. And I'm very grateful to be a part of the Sunday Night Shakedown on 98.9 The Buzz. And I'm very grateful to be working with the host of the show, who's a very good friend of mine, Frank DuBlaise.
He's the best.
Yeah, Frank DuBlaise is an amazing person, and over the past 6.5 years, he and I have developed a very strong friendship, and we've also developed a very strong working relationship. We're at the point now where we can almost read each other's minds, because we've been doing these broadcasts every single week, every Sunday night for over 6 years for me, and Frank's been doing the show for 8 or 9 years.
Oh, so wait, so he had the show was going on before you?
Yeah, the show started before I actually joined it,
okay.
And there were 2 or 3 producers of the Sunday Night Shakedown who were working with Frank before I joined the show.
Okay.
Yeah, so I do have 2 or 3 predecessors.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Okay, because that was one of my questions. Like, I was going to ask you, how did you and Frank like link up?
Yeah, it was through the program director at 98.9 The Buzz. He introduced me to Frank, and I had met Frank a few times at various events that were related to the radio station. So I had an awareness of him. Of course, everybody in Rochester knows who Frank DeBlaze is, and he's a wonderful and talented person. And his wife Deb Jones is a wonderful woman as well. And both Frank and Deb are very involved in supporting the local music scene and the local art scene in Rochester, which we all appreciate. So I had met Frank a few times, and I had an acquaintance with him and his wife Deb, and then the program director at 98.9 The Buzz at the time was Dem Jones, and he introduced me to Frank and said, this opportunity is coming up for the Sunday Night Shakedown. The position of the producer spot is opening up. My friend and predecessor Ferris, who was producing the show before me, had moved on to a different radio station, so I needed to fill his shoes. And Ferris, it was intimidating to try to fill his shoes because he's a very talented producer and knew a lot about twisting the knobs and pushing the buttons and everything with on the board. And at the time, I didn't know very much about that, so it made me nervous, but I had to do it. It was something I wanted to do, and I felt like it was a great opportunity for me, and I didn't want to pass that up, or I didn't want to miss out on it. So I went forward with it, and I was trained very quickly on how to produce the Sunday Night Shakedown, which can be challenging at times because it is a live show, and there's a lot of technical work that needs to be done that's different from the way the radio station is normally programmed. So there's some special things that need to be done, and I kind of learned it on the fly, and it was through that process that I got to know Frank, and he and I developed our friendship and developed a very strong rapport as professional radio broadcasters. You know, even though Frank says on Sunday nights it's like the monkeys running the zoo. We try to be professional, but we have too much fun to be
I love your banter. It's so fun.
Yeah.
I always love coming to see you guys. It's always a fun time.
Oh, thank you.
Now, what's your favorite part of doing radio? Like,
I think,
and also what's your least favorite part?
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword for sure. I think one of my favorite aspects of working in radio is, particularly on the Sunday Night Shakedown, is working with Frank DeBlaze is an honor because he's an amazing person, and I've learned a lot from Frank. And working with all the talented musicians in the greater Rochester area is a treat for me because as a musician myself, I understand the importance of being a local musician, having original music, and being able to get it out on the airwaves on a major radio station like 98.9 The Buzz. That's very important in terms of promotions, and it's very important in terms of just getting that rewarding sense of fruition. When you're a songwriter and you record your music and you hear it being played on a radio station, there's still a very strong sense of satisfaction that accompanies that experience. So as a musician, I appreciate that, and as the radio producer for the Shakedown, which plays local music, I have a better understanding of that. So that's certainly one of the favorite things. Yeah, a very positive experience that I have, and something I enjoy doing a lot. And also being able to work with people in radio, even if they aren't musicians, just working with people in radio is a wonderful experience because I get to blend in terms of how quirky and weird and zany I am. You know, it's more normal and more accepted at a radio station, whereas other day jobs I've had in the past, you know, I don't always blend in as well because it's, you know, a little more straight-laced, a little more dry, and that's fine. But I feel at a radio station I get to work with quirky and creative people and zany people, and you can foster that creativity together, and you don't feel like you're fighting an uphill battle. So that's another thing I really enjoy about working in radio. And as a musician and as a radio producer and personality, put a lot of work into getting jobs as a musician and getting jobs as a radio personality, so that fruition is rewarding too.
Cool.
Yeah, but some things I don't like are, sometimes it can be overwhelming, especially being a part of the Sunday Night Shakedown. it's just Frank and me. There's only two of us, and there are hundreds of musicians all around the greater Rochester area. So it's wonderful that people are taking an interest in the show and sending us their music, and we want to support local music, and we want to get musicians as guests on the show. We want to play their songs on the radio, and that's very rewarding and wonderful for us to do that. But at the same time, it can be overwhelming because there's so many musicians contacting me, and I don't want to say no to anyone. You know? I want to help everyone out as much as I can, but there's only so much we can do in any given day. But we're doing the best we can. We ask people to be patient with us, and we'll get there.
Well, I think you're doing a great job. I mean,
thank you.
It's really nice to have people like you guys that are supporting. I mean, what I love about it is that you are a musician, so you understand, like the value and having these things, even for like a portfolio's sake, like it goes a long way, So I appreciate it. I'm sure I know everybody else does as well.
Well, it's a pleasure for Frank DuBlaze and me to do that for the local music scene. We're very happy to be a part of that, and we hope we're helping. And it's a very fun process to get turned on to so many wonderful bands in Rochester who I hadn't before I started working on the Shakedown. I really hadn't been aware of how diverse and how talented the overall music scene in the greater Rochester area really is. It's incredible. There's so many different styles of music and so many musicians who are so talented. And you've been a guest on the Shakedown many times, and Frank and I appreciate your music a lot. We appreciate your talent, and you're one of the many examples of how good music is in Rochester.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk to you about because I noticed like when I'm not listening to Sunday Night Shakedown, I hear Woody commercials, and I want to know about it. Like, is that?
I'm like a bad penny. I just keep turning off everywhere I go.
No, it's not a bad penny. I love it. I'm like, hey, I know that voice. That's Woody. That you're like doing commercials. So like, is that stuff that like? Is that fun for you to do? Because it's different?
It is. Yeah, it can be a little tedious from a technical point of view sometimes, but that's all logistical. Like I said earlier, twisting the knobs and pushing the buttons and all that kind of thing. But even that experience from a technical point of view is something I find challenging. So I do enjoy it because I'm learning something from it. So I do enjoy that technical portion of broadcasting on the Shakedown and producing commercials for 98.9 The Buzz and all of our sister stations like 96.5 WCMF and all the other Entercom Rochester radio stations, which are all great. But I definitely enjoy the creativity that goes into doing voiceovers for commercials, or even if they're commercials from like national agencies, I still have to produce them and edit them so that they fit into our rotation and things like that. And my boss in the commercial department at the radio station, my boss is Laurel McLeod, and she's wonderful. She's very good at what she does, and she has a lot of experience. So I've learned a lot from her, from the technical point of view and from the creative point of view, in terms of what to do with your voice and what commercials necessitate a certain type of voice or a certain type of texture in your voice. So Laurel has guided me in that process, and I certainly enjoy producing those commercials and voicing those commercials. And as a singer, you're a singer yourself, so you understand the importance of being able to change the dynamics and the texture and the sound of your voice depending on what song you're playing. And it's a similar concept with commercials, depending on the commercial and the client and the attitude of the commercial. You have
the personality behind it.
And you
that's
have to
cool.
plan accordingly.
Now, like, where do you see yourself, like, what is your ultimate goal, like, in broadcasting and in radio? Like, is there something that you're looking to achieve, like, long term? Like, do you see yourself having, like, your own, like, a Howard Stern, like, type show? Like,
that would be great. I have many goals. I've always been a goal-oriented person throughout my life as a musician and as a radio personality and producer. The goals have helped me stay focused, and unfortunately I've been able to overcome obstacles and achieve some of those goals, but I still have goals that I haven't achieved yet and things that I'm working toward, which I think is good because it helps you get out of bed every morning and face each day. So yes, in terms of my radio career, I do have goals. I'd like to continue doing commercial production work and maybe take it to the next level in terms of getting to more national agencies or even bigger regional agencies and doing more commercial work. Or, like you said, having a show like Howard Stern or something. I don't know if I'll ever get that big, but to have my own radio show, whether it's an
Sure.
afternoon show or a morning show, is certainly a goal of mine, something I'm working toward. And as a musician, I'm constantly challenging myself to develop my diversity and talent as a musician, and play with a few bands around Rochester now, The Goods and Extended Family. And I have a solo album of all percussion, drums and percussion.
I saw that on your website.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that. That's so awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been great, and these are all the things I do just to channel my creativity and to try to avoid complacency as a musician and as a radio producer, and just keep taking myself to the next level. And so as a musician, I want to make the bands and musical ensembles of which I'm a part become as successful as possible.
Sure.
And go as far as we can. And not only for the commercial success, but also for the musical success and for that musical satisfaction of knowing that there is a certain amount of talent that's being developed in myself. And it's never been important for me to be better than that drummer. I don't want to play drums better than him or better than her. I don't want to sound better on the radio than him or her. That competition, for better or worse, that's never been important to me. I always want to be better than myself. I want to be better today than I was yesterday.
Yep.
I want to be better tomorrow than I am today. And that sense of progress has always been what has inspired me and intrigued me to see what comes next. So
I understand. I agree with that 100%. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I think your challenges have to lie within yourself. Like if you want to progress and you want to get better. I always said that. Like I never understood competition. Because I think competition, like especially when it gets to be ugly, I think people lose that the root of it. Your competition really should be with yourself, because
absolutely,
and just kind of channel it to becoming the best you could become, as opposed to trying to be better than the person next to you.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think competition can be a healthy thing in terms of motivating people, but like in sports, I think competition is obviously important. But in music, I never understood competition in music and how that fits in. Like when I was in high school, I was in the marching bands, and we'd go to these competitions every weekend, parades and field band shows, and it was this big competition, and we had to come in first place. And I never understood that, and it wasn't because I was lazy or complacent, because I don't think that I am either of those things. And I certainly wanted to play as well as I can. I want whatever band I'm playing in to sound as well as possible, and I want to play as well as I can as an individual musician too. But it's not about competition, especially in music. I think music is all about musicians working together toward a common goal. Competition in sports is fine, and that's understandable, but competition in music is strange. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you and I were talking off camera earlier too about how important it is to support one another. And I mean, it kind of leads into my next question, because I'm sure you're going to answer it along these lines.
Yeah.
But my question was, in what ways do you believe we could work together as a community to help promote a positive culture and local scene? And I know what we had talked about earlier was how important it is to encourage one another, and to just instead of kind of creating a positive atmosphere which we all could creatively thrive in, as opposed to trying to knock the next person down so you could get not even half a step ahead.
And that happens too often, which is unfortunate. But the good thing is I don't see that as much in the Rochester music scene, which is very encouraging. And I think that's great, because there's a lot of camaraderie and there's a lot of teamwork between the musicians and bands around the Rochester music scene, which I think is wonderful. But yeah, like you mentioned earlier, the competition can be healthy and motivational, but when it gets to the point where people are putting each other down, it becomes unhealthy and toxic, and it becomes counterproductive, because, as we said, we should all be working together. So I think some things we can do is help each other develop our own talent and encourage each other to just play with each other. Like the Rock City Pro Jam is a wonderful vehicle for musicians learning about each other's talents and playing with each other and pushing each other to make themselves better as an individual musician, but also become part of a musical ensemble and learn how to improvise and learn how to listen to other musicians so that you can play better. And those concepts work into radio too, because Frank and I are constantly improvising. We're doing improvisational work together on the Sunday Night Shakedown, and it's all about listening and just being receptive to other people's musical ideas or radio ideas or any ideas in general. So encouraging each other to just play your musical instrument as well as you can, or do as well as you can in whatever profession you're seeking, and also from a more pragmatic point of view, because there's that artistic motivation, like I was just talking about, but from a more pragmatic point of view or a practical point of view, try to help each other network, and that's something that you're great at. Along with being a talented musician, you're also great from the business aspects of it, helping each other network, helping each other promote. Of course, you have to promote your own band or your own musical project, but there's nothing wrong with helping other bands promote their music as well, and with the slow and steady demise of major record labels that we're facing in today's current music industry, now more than ever, DIY and grassroots musical movements are more important than ever. And that movement and that progress cannot be made without musicians working together and breaking down boundaries. It doesn't matter if you're a classical musician or rock or jazz or country or hip hop or reggae or whatever you're into. We're all in this together. And I don't mean to sound naive or idealistic, but we really are all in this together, and we have to help each other.
I think there's a lot to learn from one another, like everybody has something different to offer, and I think the more you open yourself up to, being around other people and appreciating other people for their strengths and their qualities that you don't possess, or, looking for something that you admire in the next person, as opposed to looking for something that you just want to hate about them.
Exactly.
It's like changing that attitude, to see that, and in the end, I think that's going to make you a better person, a better artist. It's going to help you see things like just a little bit. I mean, it obviously makes things friendlier, but I think in the long run, you gain a wealth of knowledge by being that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and anyone you're surrounded by, anyone you work with, has to be viewed as an opportunity to learn, and you can't truly learn from that person if you're constantly looking for a way to knock them down or berate them. So, I've always been a proponent of spreading positive energy, and believe me, I have my moments of frustration, and I have some dark moments, just like anyone else in their life. We all have to get through that, but we all experience those dark moments. But for the most part, I've tried to be a positive person. I've tried to be optimistic, and I've tried to work with people as opposed to working against people or trying to outdo someone else or try to put them down so that I can lift myself up. We all have to do this together.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I adore you and respect you. And I just want to thank you for being a part of the show today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
Of course. Yes. And make sure you listen.
Thank you for the 3HB beer. 3 Heads Brewing.
Nice.
Yeah. Little plug for my friends there.
Give yourself a little, I was going to say, when are you playing with Extended Family or The Goods? Anything coming up?
Yeah, we have many shows. It's been a busy summer for us so far, and it will continue to be a busy summer for both of the bands. We have some great shows coming up. Extended Family is planning on releasing a new album, which will be wonderful. We're going to be releasing the new album on September 27th.
Are you recording with Matt Rammerman?
Yeah, we recorded with Matt Rammerman at Green Room Studios
Very nice.
out in Ontario, so that was a wonderful experience. Matt is a good friend of mine. He's a very talented producer, and Matt Rammerman is a very talented musician, too. So it was a joy, it was a treat to work with Matt at Green Room Studios, and I thoroughly enjoy playing drums and percussion with Extended Family, which is a great band here in Rochester, and I thoroughly enjoy playing drums and percussion with The Goods as well. And we have our websites. You can find Extended Family on Facebook, and The Goods are online at wearethe.goods.com. And we have shows coming up. Extended Family is going to be playing at Party in the Park on August 7th, opening up for Dark Star Orchestra, which is going to be fun. We're very happy that Party in the Park moved back to Manhattan Square Park in downtown Rochester, so that's going to be fun. And both Extended Family and The Goods are going to be playing at the Park Avenue Festival.
That's exciting.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. And The Goods are going to be playing with a great rock band in Rochester called Vinyl Orange Ottoman. The Goods and Vinyl Orange Ottoman are playing at V-Pub in Canandaigua tomorrow night.
I love it there. Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we have a gig tomorrow night. So we're trying to stay as musically active as possible. And, of course, the Sunday Night Shakedown is on 98.9 The Buzz every Sunday night.
Every Sunday, tune in.
8 to 11 p.m.
You guys extended an hour, too, right? Like, wasn't it just to 10 at one point?
Yeah, at one point, I think before I joined the show, I think it did go 8 to 10, but ever since I've joined the show, it's gone 8 to 11, which I think is great because the more local music, the better. You know.
I thought Frank said something about like you guys extending it an additional hour. Maybe I dreamt that, or I don't know.
That's a possibility. We are talking with our program director, Mike Danger, and the possibility of us going 7 to 11. We're talking about that. It's not definite yet, but Mike Danger, our program director, is a very strong proponent of the Shakedown, and we thank him for his support. And Frank and I are working with Danger to try to augment the show. But even if the show stays a 3-hour show from 8 to 11 every Sunday night, it's great because it gives 3 solid hours of local music to the airwaves on 98.9 The Buzz. So we're very happy about that. Cool. We're very grateful to do it.
Well, I think you're the coolest, Woody. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
I always appreciate seeing you.
Thank you. I appreciate seeing you too. Yeah, thank you very much.
Make sure you tune in to Sunday Night Shakedown this Sunday. Go see the Goods tomorrow or Extended Family at V-Pub.
The Goods are playing tomorrow with Vinyl or Jotterman at V-Pub. Yes, and Extended Families and the Goods and Extended Family are playing at the Park Ave Fest this summer on the Saturday of the Park Avenue Festival. So that'll be great.
There you go, kids.
Support local music and be good to each other. And
2 great bands full of lots of great people.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on your show.
Of course.
Cheers. Good luck with everything.
So that was our biz portion. You just heard from Jeffrey Woody Woodruff. Make sure you check him out. His website is jeffreywoodruff.com. And all of the guests that you see today, I'll be posting under our Facebook group, Afternoon Cocktail. They have their bios and links to all their sites, so make sure you check that out if you get a chance to. I'm going to go right to our canvas over here with, I'm here with Pooker. The cool thing about today is every guest has an awesome nickname. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but we had Woody, we had Pooker, we have The Gift. So what do you got going on over here?
I'm trying to portray heritage strength. I have some rocks right here, the water's going to flow through the rocks, and then a tree growing out of it.
I love your details, like in like when we were looking at your art earlier, like your details in your drawing, it's so like pronounced, and it's impressive. Like, did you draw that just now?
Yeah,
just with a thin brush.
Yeah,
it's really neat. I like that. Oh, with ink. Okay, cool. Well, do you want to come and sit with me for a second? And let's. Where's your art? Bring your art over too. So Booker's going to bring over some art for us all to check out. So now you are from Rochester, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah? And tell us, like, how would you explain your art?
My artwork is colorful and free-spirited. Working on a piece, so I just put it here.
Yeah, that's okay. So what is this one title?
That's a Gemini symbol. That was actually a gift from one of my friends.
Very cool. Now, like, what inspires you to paint? Like, do you have any influences by like tribal? I don't know. Your art kind of almost reminds me of like the colors and the shapes that you use is almost like tribal. Like, is that? Yeah. Am I catching on to something or?
No, I'm just free spirited. It's just, I don't really have. I like Georgia O'Keeffe. I used to quote from earlier how she uses like flowers and skulls because it kind of brings the dead stuff to life.
Yeah.
So.
Now, do you like consider this like almost abstract? Because I don't know if I'm just, you know how everybody interprets art or like songs, different lyrics and stuff. Like, are there little faces and stuff in here like purposely put like?
It's mostly flowers. No, my mom always looks at my art and she sees a bunch of stuff like you see a bird right here. Or, no, I kind of just draw and whatever is there, I like it or I don't at the end.
You seem very inspired by nature, is like what I pick up in a lot of your art. Do you spend a lot of time out in nature? Like,
I usually go for like nature walks.
Sunsets and sunrises. I figured that because I could tell that by like, I mean, even in what you're making today and how like the first thing you said, like water, courage and strength, I see waterfalls or, you know, I figured you must be very, very inspired by that. So In what ways has your artistic ability flourished and changed over time, would you say? When did you start doing all of this?
I first started painting in 2010 when I took a college course at MCC. Okay. And I used to use just pencils.
Let's get another piece.
Okay. I used to just use pencils and like a little smudger to shade. And then I started using chalk. And then I moved on to oil pastels. And then I started using acrylic paint.
I love this one.
Thank you. That's watercolor and acrylic.
Now, did you tear this on purpose?
No, I actually ripped the canvas on mistake, and then I just decided to incorporate it.
I like it.
Thank you.
I think it's really cool. That's why I was wondering. It totally works. It's very neat.
Thank you.
Yeah, again, like you got your night and your day, like the sun. I like your details on the bark, the tree. Thanks. Very neat. So I know you said you had a hip-hop show recently. Mm-hmm. You plan to do more of that in the future?
I want to do more shows and connect with other artists so I can kind of like build relationships with them and learn stuff from them. They have more experience than me.
Yeah.
But I want to do a solo show. I want it to be entertaining and not like a boring show. You know what I mean? Something different.
Do you like working with musicians? Like tell me about the hip hop show. Like what
the
was it like?
Hip hop show. We had one musical artist perform. We had Sierra Flowers sing there, but we didn't really have a lot of performers.
Okay.
But it would have been nice to have more performers there.
So was there various artists that exhibited and?
Yeah, we had Lujar, Nareda, we had Johnny, we had David Haygood.
All our afternoon cocktail friends. I love it.
We had another artist named Myron and Marcus. We had a lot of artists come together. I think it was about 12 people.
Cool.
And we all displayed artwork, so it was nice.
Very cool. Yeah, Lujar was a trip. Did you get to go to his exhibit?
I did, yeah. I missed the movie part, but I got to see the last of the show.
It looked like he had such a successful turnout. Like, I'm so happy for him. He was our guest on the last show, our fine artist, and he had a great exhibit. He was telling me, though, he was like, I'm looking at this canvas. He's like, these are all my friends. Like, I got to draw on that. So it was cool. Do you feel like there were any challenges you had to face as an artist, or that you feel like you continually are facing, and how do you persevere from those challenges or overcome them?
When I started painting, I used to try and like paint for other people, or paint like other people. If I seen other people's artwork, I would try to mimic it or copy what they did instead of being original. And then I realized that people don't want to buy the same stuff if they've already seen it, so I kind of decided to do what I liked, and then I realized other people like my work, and it inspired me to keep going. Like, oh, you like it? Good.
Yeah.
That's easy.
I loved in your bio you wrote like how important it is for you to do your art for you, and I think that's one thing that, you know, when you try to cater to the public, you lose that in yourself, you know, because everybody wants to produce something that people are going to like, but I think when you naturally are you know, it goes for performing too. If you're performing, or if you're painting, you know, like if you're painting something that comes from your soul, I think you have a better chance of having people appreciate it.
Yeah.
For, you know, because that's you, you know, that's the artist in you coming out on that canvas, you know. So keep doing that. I mean, I think that's so important, you know, as artists, that like we take care of ourselves just as much as we try to take care of the people buying it, you know. Hopefully it comes full circle.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Now, in what ways do you feel like art fulfills you? I mean, does art fulfill you in ways that nothing else has? Like,
yeah, sometimes if I don't paint, or sometimes I try to paint and I can't. Like I don't have anything, or I don't like the way it's coming out, and then sometimes it'll feel like I have to paint, and if I don't paint, I feel like I missed out on something because I had the urge to create. I missed out on whatever it was that was telling me to put it on canvas. So
I gotcha. Here's my creative question of the day. If you were dropped into a blank canvas and you had to paint the world around you or your way out of it, what would you paint?
I don't know if I would change anything. I would probably just eliminate the street lights, and there'd be a lot more moons everywhere. I like moons. And the trees, it would just be more colors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of just green grass, it would be like every blade would be a different color of grass.
Very cool. And where would you like to see yourself artistically in 5 years?
In 5 years, I would like to finish school, have more experience with doing artwork and murals, and donating more pieces to schools, and maybe even working in a school or teaching art.
Do you have your own studio, or do you like work from home?
I work from home.
Okay, very cool. Well, thank you so much for being a part of this and for contributing to our canvas and tying things together nicely. Make sure you check out Booker on Facebook. She has an Instagram account. Was there anything else that I'm missing?
No. Pookie Productions on Instagram.
I love it. Well, make sure you check out our art and check out her around town. Are we going to do a sponsor break at all? Or?
We can break.
We could break?
Yeah, we can break it to smoking.
Okay, we're going to take a little break. We're coming back in a moment with a little surprise activity, and then I'm going to bring my good friend, The Gift. He's going to be performing 2 of his spoken word poems for you, and we're going to do an interview with him as well. So thank you so much, and we'll be right back. Oh, no problem. Take your time.
That's fine.
Thanks for doing this. So what's going to work is we're going
Justin, we need you switching. All right. Okay, well that's okay. We kind of have you. All right, Mike. Take your seat up here. All right. Here we go.
I was tagging everybody else.
What's that? So you just have it streaming right now, right?
Yeah.
All right, come on up here. Oh yeah, take that filter off. And, all right, we're coming back up here, and for those of you who've been paying attention all week on social media, you guys know that our good friend and best advocate and Mike Nichols is making a huge mistake. Big Rochester. Big mistake. And he's heading back to Detroit. Why does anybody go to Detroit?
The Motor City.
Don't tell. Don't say. So Amanda and I have a little plan for you here.
Oh boy. Is this like, it looks like, is there a cake eating contest or?
No.
You thought that'd be a little bit easy, didn't you? Yeah, it's not quite a cake eating contest. There, we need to make some room here.
Or is it like no utensils allowed? Or?
All right. All right, here we go.
Not quite a cake eating contest, but I just wanted to wish you good luck, and I want to tell you what a pleasure it is to have worked with you. No, but I want to let you know how much I appreciate you, and I'm so sad that you're leaving, but I am very excited for you for this next chapter. But, you know, we're not going to let you get off so easy.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah, right. I
figured that.
Can't get off too easy yet.
So we figured, you know, with you helping us start this, that maybe we'll ask you some, like, afternoon cocktail trivia questions.
Oh my God.
And embarrass you a little bit, because
we think it's important. We want to know how well you've paid attention.
We want to know how important
I already know the
this
answer.
is to you.
All right,
We'll see.
You want to begin?
Sure. So, okay, Mike.
You do know I put all the stuff into
Exactly.
the system.
That's why we know that you should have known. You should know all of these answers.
We want to be impressed,
Yeah, we
basically.
wanna be impressed.
So don't
You're
mess
gonna
it
be
up.
let down.
All right.
Don't mess it up.
All right.
So, okay. Could you name us 3 past fine artists that contributed to our canvas without looking?
Yeah, thankfully, she just said a few. But Johnny Lee Smith, Heather Irwin, Lujar Art.
Okay, that's okay. No, you said three. You said three. All right, hold on. All right.
Nice job.
I think she let you off easy. All right.
Okay.
All right. So my first question, because more or less you just stole the thunder out of my first question.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
So I'm gonna have to change it.
We didn't collaborate so well.
What color shoes did Amanda wear on her third show? I have no idea. I have no idea. No, my first question, which was actually very easy, but without looking, who was the second artist to color the canvas?
Narita.
Another advocate.
Yeah.
The advocate who was taking your spot.
I think
Go
Narita
back to Detroit. Go back to Detroit, boy.
I heard rumors that Narita might come hang out with us later.
Yes. She was posting
Yeah,
that,
well, last week she was here, and she had a good. We actually brought her up for the show at night, and she got really like, "No, gonna let me off." But we did a quick little thing about her studio, and she's having fun. All right, your
She's
your
awesome.
question.
We need to get back. Yeah, get her on.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's so cool. Okay, so how about what was your favorite theme? Name one theme that we've covered in the past 6 episodes, and tell me why it was your favorite theme.
Back through the themes, there was that one, strength and courage.
I think I would have to say maybe empower, and I just remember seeing that in some of the stuff I was doing. So as far as
that's
a theme goes, no, just what that means to empower people in the community, and that's what I have. Our show coming up tonight at 7, so come on back.
7 o'clock. Actually, I think we're doing something at 6, but I forgot what it was. But that's
with,
Reeve Stewart. Reeve Stewart. Come back at 6
Festival
tonight.
Nights.
Yeah.
That's in the open social, but community empowerment, community outreach is something that I have found a purpose in my life. That's a teaser for later. That we're that will be.
You're like getting good at this. Why don't you go to Detroit now?
Which I'm going to be working in highway bridge design and engineering, which is going to be totally different from what I'm doing. But I'll be in my downtime outside of business. I will be supporting these guys and supporting Amanda.
And in our downtime, we'll be crying. We'll be crying ourselves to sleep.
What's wrong with the stream? What's wrong with the stream, guys?
Did my wife tell you that I cry myself to sleep every night?
I don't know.
Anyways.
Sometimes you can't help these emotions.
All right. So here we go. Question number 2. What game did Amanda and Christopher Williams from A Gamer's Nostalgia first attempt to play?
That's good.
Friday the 13th.
Are you kidding me? How do you know this stuff?
That was good.
How do you know this stuff?
He pays attention.
Because I'm an engineer.
Because I pay attention. It doesn't look like it, but I pay really close attention. All right,
I
your
like
question.
Jeopardy.
All right, here's my last question. What festival did John Hutchins come? He was a guest for our entrepreneur portion.
Yep.
He was owner of Downtown Fitness, but also he was promoting
The East End Festival that he's a
all
founder
right,
of.
I guess you're all right.
Easy. That was so.
You're lucky because that
Mike,
costume's looking really
Who's
low.
the executive producer of these shows? Come on. Come on. Okay, this one's really easy, too. I guess I shouldn't have. I was going to ask you, what was the first song international recording artist David Michael Miller performed on Afternoon Cocktail? Wait.
I don't know.
for
I
it.
think is it Carolina Bound?
100. You got 6 for 6. You win, and we agreed. If you if you went 6 for 6,
Wow.
Amanda would bring the chicken.
Was it if
outfit.
I was
All right.
wrong?
You're lucky.
That would
Is
be
it
me.
what?
No, you don't have to be a chicken.
Oh no, the rest of the show. I thought
I
you
have
said
to?
no him.
Oh, okay.
I don't.
I was
no?
hoping we could serve it to him. Serve him this cake with the chicken head on.
Okay, serve the cake with the chicken hat brought on.
From Rochester.
Do we have like plates, or I don't know, we'll have to probably try to find some
No.
plates.
We
Or
gotta
there's
check
always, since we're looking for social media stuff, there's always Mike eats cake without his hands.
Well,
I
it is.
think that could be fun. What
It
do you
is
think?
a double
Huh?
rainbow.
You would
so
actually-
just,
you'd
I
go
hope
for
you
that?
picked up on that.
I don't know about that.
Well, Michael, we wish you best of luck. I'm so
Thank
sad
you.
that you're leaving, but make sure you keep in touch.
I
And,
definitely will.
enjoy this cake with.
As I have been saying, it's a physical farewell, but I will be
Never,
supporting you guys.
He'll be doing a lot of the social media stuff. So,
And I was posting you were for Woody and stuff that he was doing and Cooper. So they're already on the afternoon cocktail show Facebook page.
Look
All
at
right.
this
I
guy.
did your job.
Yeah,
Look
that-
at
I was
this
just doing
guy.
your job.
exactly. And now he's
Maybe
going
we'll
to
keep him
Detroit.
around.
All right, so
All right.
now we're gonna. Well,
Well,
we'll take
Okay.
take this off
We're
camera.
gonna
and-
let him go devour this double rainbow.
Thank you.
And thank you, Michael, for everything. We love you, and we hope you travel safely and enjoy your next chapter in life.
There's rain or
Could we
balloons.
take just like a quick break and
Yeah,
we'll set out the
absolutely.
gift, and he's gonna come perform for us.
Yep.
And we're gonna close out our show. Thank you
Oh,
so
there's
much.
some plates.
We got
You just spray 'em right
plates. So we'll be back, you guys. Hang tight.
Did you?
I have the cover over there if you want to take them.
No chicken head.
Yeah, you're lucky. You're lucky. You got all these this No chicken.
So
I'm just gonna put it right on stage.
move this out of the way. Do you want to? You stand? Sit? What do you want to do?
Oh, don't matter.
We can't think that far in advance. What do you feel most comfortable with?
I like it.
Well, what am I doing again? I'm just going to come in and start performing off the bat.
Why don't you perform, well, what do you want to do? Why don't you perform one of your pieces first? What we normally do is have the performer perform first, and then we'll talk about it in the interview in between.
I'll just stand up, not stand up against the wall.
Yeah, we'll just stand there.
There we go. Yeah, we'll pull this out of the way. All right. Thank you. Set change. All right. Yep. Thank you. A few more. All right, we'll put this over here. You want to kill this one?
I didn't know where you were at, so I get to perform and go back to the
Oh yeah, when you're done.
Do we have the other one of these here? Testing. All right. So we can bring this one up and in there. All right. And we reset these. There we go. Okay. Then let's set it up just so we can pick it up. Alright. So what we want to do, we'll probably change this around just slightly. We'll make sure that we get a decent pickup. Let's see here. Testing. 1, 2. Testing. Testing. Alright. So you may have to hear that. And so we need some gain up on that one. What? You can hear it? Here, Amanda, you want to just talk?
Are we on? Or no? Test. Hello, everybody. Good.
Yeah.
So we're going to bring up the gift. He is our entertainer this evening, and he's phenomenal. I've had the pleasure in knowing him for many years. And yeah, come on up. He's going to perform one of his pieces. We're going to do our interview in between. Enjoy. What's this one called?
Shattered Dreams.
Share Dream. Is this new?
What's going to do to everybody who ain't heard it before?
Good point. Enjoy.
When I was young, I knew a girl named Mahogany. Her life was no paradise. She lived in Hades, 2 blocks down from me on a street called Purgatory. And every night religiously around 2:45, she would drop to her knees and pray to God to set her free. Feeling the devil pulling at her heartstrings and suicidal dreams. Contemplating death but holding on to life. Holding on to the crucifix of Christ, repeating Psalms 23 twice. Hoping her prayers will suffice. Hoping her prayers will keep on the light, set streaks of blood and sweat stained her pajama sets. As her older brother crept in her room and violated her body while she slept. With his hand over her mouth, he told her if she screamed, he'd break her neck. Yet every time he raped Mahogany, he was killing her slowly while she wept. So she asked herself what's left when pain was associated with every breath. Her life a house of horrors, her dad been gone since she was 4, and her mom was a drunken whore who stole prescription drugs at the pharmacy at the corner store. And I know what the Bible says, that the gates of hell should not prevail. But Mahogany eventually became an empty shell, a withering corpse, as blood mixed with saline fluid flooded her tear ducts. Her cries frail like moth wings as her eyes depicted a shame seen in females with crack-addicted offsprings. Her mind broken, torn at the seams, living a normal adolescence, nothing more but a shattered dream. And we were barely 16 when I realized life isn't what it seems. Saw Mahogany on the strip, dope in her veins, needles in her jeans. Her eyes are bloodshot red like the color of crimson. Her face validated her mission through an unpleasant disposition. As her admirers labor her horror according to her attire, while her hips shifted sexually to the silhouette of gunfire, aimed at the consumers and buyers of flesh, those who committed incest and avowed pedophiles made little boys and girls undress. She was a single blood stain smeared over a rough canvas and hung in a crooked frame in a fucked up world. But I still remembered her pretty little girl that used to sneak out her house to play with me, wearing her mom's shiny pearls. But at that moment, all I could do was hold her, while she cried profusely on my shoulder, hoping time would mold her and show her love as her years grew older. But unfortunately, in the summer of '93, I heard that Mahogany had OD'd, found dead in her bathroom with a needle discarded by her feet. The tragedy that shattered my thoughts and scattered my heart in the wind like debris. So until death comes for me, I will always remember that when I was young, I knew a girl named Mahogany. Her life was no paradise. She lived in Hades, 2 blocks down from me on a street called Purgatory. And every night religiously around 2:45, she would drop to her knees and pray to God to set her free. Thank you.
I said this before. You and I have known each other for almost like 5, I want to say like 5 years, right?
Yeah, we've known each other for a while now.
Yeah. You know, and the one thing that's always drawn me to you is you come across with so much passion, and getting to know you, you're such a passionate, creative, amazing individual, and I commend you for all the hard work you've put in and everything that you've done. So, and I love seeing you continue to succeed. So I just wanted to say that right off the bat. But for those who don't know you, maybe this is their first time seeing you, what could you tell them about yourself and your career?
Well, I'm a poet as well as aspiring actor. My name, The Gift, isn't something that I just made up out of the blue. It's not a name that I decided for myself out of pride or arrogance, like I'm the gift of women or I'm the gift of poetry or nothing like that. Basically, that name comes from my first name, which is Nate. My name, Nate, in Hebrew means the gift that God has given, hence the name, The Gift. I started doing poetry like 2.5, 3 years ago now. Yeah, like 3.5 years ago, I think now. And I have it's transpired me into doing acting now. I do my own poetry show. I don't want to keep going on and on. Do I keep this?
Please do. Let them know how awesome you are.
Well, I do my own poetry show right now. It's called the Poetry Lounge. I do one show a month. I got poets from Syracuse, Buffalo, New York, Niagara Falls. Yeah, and it's growing and growing. Every show is different. Every show has different performers. It's always a different feel, different vibe, but the same, like that positive energy that I try to bring to every one of my shows. So
great. I just think it's especially like, there's more outlets I feel like for music and to, do all these, events, and I feel like it would probably be a little bit, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I don't know, like for the spoken word, do you feel like there's enough opportunity out there for you? Like, or do you, because now that you're hosting like more of your own shows and stuff, like it seems like you're creating more opportunities, not only for yourself but for others, And
true. I didn't think of it like that, but true. Yeah. There is a lot of outlets. I feel like my city's not that very big. It's not like it's a New York City or a Buffalo, nothing like that. I do feel that where I live, it's not as many outlets, and you're right. I feel like I'm providing more outlets for people to go to open mics and experience, poetry. Because a lot of people will be surprised, they don't even know there's open mics at all in Rochester, or they don't know that there's venues where where people do spoken word. So like, I am allowing people to see, okay, there is outlets for you to go to do spoken word, to maybe get off some things off your chest. 'Cause I think writing and poetry in itself is very therapeutic.
Oh, totally.
I think that it's a better way of getting your feelings out versus hitting somebody or shooting somebody or something like that. So yeah, I mean, I'm opening up other venues for people to go to express themselves, and as I see myself inspiring other people, because other people are not doing shows. People that I knew back in the day were just starting up. They're doing their shows now, so it's growing. It's growing slowly but surely, where people now, it's not like an unknown thing. People are starting to know, okay, there is spoken word, in our town, in our city. So
sure. Now, when did you start? Like, when did you begin all of this? Like, when did your journey into the spoken word field begin?
When I was in the womb.
Came out with a pen and paper.
Yeah, came out with a pen and paper. Actually, I started writing when I was a kid. I think I wrote my first horror story when I was in 3rd grade, and it was influenced by all the crazy stuff they had back then. Friday 13th and Halloween, all that stuff. Basically, me as a poet, it kind of I used to jot down my feelings all the time throughout junior high, high school. I didn't really start performing until later in my life, and the reason I even started performing at all was because I was in a relationship, which is always like that, and I was going through a lot of different things, a lot of different frustration and stress. And actually, the person that was bringing on the stress, my ex, was like, oh my God, she had read some of my stuff, and she was like, you should go to one of these open mic venues and check it out, and I think they'll like you, whatever. So I went for the first time, and I was really nervous, and I remember when I first went, back then I wasn't called The Gift. I had all these superhero poetry names. I had Super Black Poet, and I had some name Rhapsody. I had all these crazy names or whatever. Until I felt inspired to call myself The Gift. So I mean, I said 3. How long we know each other?
I'm thinking it has to be 5 years, almost 5 years.
It's been that long. I haven't been doing poetry. I think that long.
At least maybe not. I mean, at least 4. No.
I think 3.5 maybe. I started doing poetry 3.5 years ago, I would say.
No, it's got to be longer than that. I'm gonna say 4 years. It has to be.
Okay, let's just say 4 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Around that time period.
Whatever.
Okay,
we'll figure it out.
Around that time period. So I started late, and some people ask me, well, why'd you start doing poetry so late? Because I'm actually as far as the poetry world in Rochester, I'm really well known, and people are like, why didn't you start when you were in my 30s? People are like, why didn't you start when you were in your 20s? Well, at that time I wasn't called, to do poetry.
Yeah.
I wasn't called to do the things I'm doing right now. Everything happens I think everything happens at a certain time and a certain season. This is my time and this is my season. So
that's cool. I think it goes to show. I mean, I don't think there's any wrong time to be creative. You know what I mean? To discover that in yourself, no matter what age you are, you have such a gift. Who cares what it came? That's amazing, and I'm glad you're doing it regardless. Where do you draw your inspiration to write? Obviously, life.
A lot of it's from my own. Well, a lot of it's from my own life. That piece I just did, Shattered Dreams. That was based on a true story of someone that I know that was getting sexually molested by their brother and got hooked on drugs and prostitution and so on and so forth. A lot of my stuff is from myself. I have a piece called Alone in the Dark. That's based on my own feelings. And Alone in the Dark basically talks about what do you think about when you're alone with your thoughts? When you're just by yourself, what do you think about? I have a piece called Essence of a Woman, and that piece itself, that piece itself is still talking about me trying to search and find out what makes a woman. What's her essence? Is this her essence? Because the whole poem is very rhetorical. So it's I'm is this the essence of a woman? Is her being a nurturer? Is that the essence of a woman? Her as a companion? Is that the essence of a woman? So I draw from myself. I do have an idol. I do have a main person that I look up to. And most idols most times when you idolize somebody, it's someone that probably, they're dead anyway or whatever. So my idol's dead. He died in '88. But Miguel Pinheiro, he actually started New Eurekan. Oh, we have a Miguel Pinheiro fan over there. He actually started the famous, which is still famous and legendary right now, the New Eurekan Cafe in Lower East Side, Manhattan. It's a phenomenal spot. I've seen some of the best perform there. And his whole life story is just like, I can relate to in a lot of ways. I mean, he went to prison and things like that. He did a lot of things I didn't do, as far as he got hooked seriously on drugs and things of that nature. But just like fighting them inner demons, like I can relate to that, you know. And to me, you know, him coming from nothing and from poverty and becoming the person he was, and an inspiration where he drew it from, like from the social ills of society, it inspires me, seriously.
So how do you prepare yourself to deliver a performance like you just did? Like, I mean, do you sit in front of like a mirror? Like, I mean, I've seen a lot of, I think what makes a poet, you know, there's poets, but then there's spoken word poets, you know, and I think like I write poetry all the time, and I've gone to, it's funny because I go to musical open mics all the time, but I look at like writing songs and writing poetry almost as two different things. My lyrics in a sense are poetry, but the way I like kind of formulate things is a little bit different. But you know, it's a completely different experience for me, like reading, you know, reciting a poem. And I think a lot of that, you know, coming across, like the emotion that you feel when you write, delivery is everything. True. And you do such a great commendable job on that, and I think you're so captivating. How do you prepare yourself to be that way?
I don't really have a secret. I don't have an awesome answer for that. I'll be very honest with you. You know, I rehearse my stuff. I don't know. That's basically. I don't have a. You know, one thing I used to do. Like I told you, Miguel Pinheiro is one of my favorite poets, right? So what I used to do is, you know, I used to like watch his movie because it's a movie that came out about his life. Benjamin Pratt from Law and Order actually played Miguel Pinheiro, and I actually used to watch that movie before the performance. It was just inspiring me, you know, and it just, you know, a lot of things that he was going through in the movie, it would either, you know, make me angry or energize me, or, you know, give me that certain vibe where, you know, I try to do the best job I can once I got on stage. So. Yeah.
Now, I know you're a little bashful about this, but didn't you just have like a recent modeling gig? Can you tell me you did something like that?
Well, okay, you know what? I did, but my convertible, the top, I gotta tell the story. I think it's kind of embarrassing, like I told people this, but the hydraulics started leaking out of my convertible top, so I couldn't make it to I had to put it in the shop, so I couldn't make it to the other
Oh, that's sweet. But, that's a shame.
Yeah, it was a shame because I wanted to go to the other.
You wanted to? Do you see yourself doing more stuff like that? Like,
not being a model. Acting is where I'm propelled. I mean, that's what I really want to do. I take professional acting classes. I actually just did a movie here. It was on the news and stuff. It was called Hero of the Underworld. Okay. It was filmed by the same guy who did Alphabet Killer. And it had a lot of stars in it. It had, you ever seen A Blind Side with Sandra Bullock? Yep. Yeah. I hate to say this, but the big black dude, I can't remember his name. That's like really back over me, but I can't remember his name. The big black dude from, you know, remember she raised him, a football player? Yeah, the big black dude. Like, he was in it. The last woman who won the America's Top Model, she was in it. That's cool. This guy that played in Terminator Salvation, he was in it. The Russian guy from The Wire second season, he was in it. So I had a lot of, you know, a lot of stars in it, whatever. So I was in that movie, and I've been in like three independent films. And two of them are actually coming to the theaters. One's going to the film festival, and right now I'm actually about to go to Utica because I'm filming I'm in a horror film that they're filming in Utica this Sunday. That's so fun. So, and soon I'll be moving to New York City because that's, like I said, my passion is acting. So I'm going to New York City to study acting. Yeah. Good for you. I couldn't get that out, but thank you.
I got your back, Nate. Okay, so now I was gonna say you're obviously a go-getter and an achiever. I said that earlier. I mean, you're doing acting, you're doing spoken word, I know you did, like I said, a little into modeling and stuff. Like, do you see yourself? What other things do you see yourself doing? Do you have like a 5-year plan of any sort, or like I mean, are you somebody that has like long-term goals, short-term goals, like daily goals? Like,
I see myself in 5 years being like in a major motion picture. I really do, actually. That's one of my main goals. I don't need to be like a lead person, like a lead person in the movie. You know, I want to be that guy. You know, you ever see, you always see this one guy in like a whole bunch of movies, but you don't really know his name, but you see him all the time. Like, dang, who's that guy? I see him.
Buscemi.
Yeah, I want to be that guy because that's the guy getting paid.
Yeah.
That's the guy and he's been in 10 movies. You don't know who he is, but you've seen him in this movie, and this movie, and he's getting money though. That's the guy I want to be.
You know who's like that? Bradley Cooper. Like, if you look at his like career, that guy's been in like every freaking movie, like commercial, like he's done like everything. His resume is outrageous, you know. But I appreciate seeing it because it's like, you know, that guy like worked his way up, obviously, you know. And now he's a major movie star, so that's great. So acting is like where your heart is like kind of rests there right now, huh?
And me as a poet, I mean, that's something that I am. So it's like that'll always be there, you know. I'll always be performing somewhere. I'll always be writing, you know. So that'll never go away. Some people say, well, you know, you want to be an actor? What about your poetry? Well, that's who I am, you know.
Yeah.
I just don't. You know, I say everyone writes, but not everyone's a poet. That's my whole thing, you know. Like anybody can write, you know what I'm saying, their feelings now, but everybody is a spoken word artist. Not everyone's a poet. Like I'm a poet. That's who, you know. That's how I, you know, get my feelings out. That's how I express myself. I'm not the kind of person. I'm not a hardcore guy. Like, you know, like I don't keep my feelings inside. Like I get them. Like, you know when I'm upset. You know when I'm feeling some type of way. You know, so
yeah. Now I know. Didn't you dip into music also with like your spoken word? Did you ever?
Well, my CD, which I'm working on, it's called A Bastard's Tale. It actually has a combination of hip hop, poetry, as well as R&B. So I have some tracks on there where I'm actually rapping, some where I'm doing spoken word to like, you know, original beats. They're really good though. They're either hip hopish kind of, but they have like an R&B kind of undertone. But they're all like very professionally done though.
Cool. So when could we expect that from you?
Actually, I'm going to release that CD like in September.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, in the middle of September. So.
Very nice. Well, keep me posted on that. And you guys make sure you keep up with The Gift here. Again, all the guests that we've had on our show today, you could find them under, I've been posting their bios and links to the website under our Facebook group. If you go to Facebook and under groups, it's Afternoon Cocktail. Also, today's cocktail I didn't really even talk about because I sucked it down before I could. It was that good. It was a key lime martini, and it had Svedka vanilla vodka, Kiki key lime liqueur, and it also had pineapple juice. It was outrageously good, and I took a picture of that, and that's going on Pinterest with the ingredients as well. So that's already on Facebook too. So make sure you guys follow up with us, and we have many more guests to come in the future. The Gift's going to lead us to the end of the show with one more performance. What are you going to perform?
I'm going to do Villains.
Villains? Mm-hmm. Cool. I'll come back and speak with him, maybe just to close out in the end. And
cool.
Kill it.
You don't want me just like to knock the mic down or nothing like that? Like
nah, you know.
Okay.
I mean, if you really
I
want.
know we'll do something dramatic or something. I didn't know. Okay. All right. Cool. All right.
Go for it.
All right. See, I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I was born where people rob your house for a crack pipe in their mouth. Where hookers carry blades in a pouch in case they got to cut a John down south, where the streets breathed out. So many end up 30-something, still asleep on their mom's couch. Where my cousin Christopher Jones got murdered over some bullshit. Even now, it's still hard for me to talk about. See, I'm from where sugar water and penny candy became delicacies, cause food for my family was always a scarcity by the end of the week. Where masculinity turned to a frail physique, as many cause of hunger fell into a deep sleep, while others preyed on the weak like wolves among sheep. Where African kings fell from glory like 12 stories, and became murderers and thieves cause they were stripped of their identity and killed for their dreams like Martin Luther King. Yet they call us villains. But why they don't mention how we were kidnapped and starved to death on the lower decks of slave ships, brought to North America and treated like domestic pets, treated lower than a human being would expect. Survival of the fittest was all that was left. Look in my eyes and see over 400 years of death, whips and chains that scarred my back and my chest. As Willie Lynch's letters was put to the test, as light-skinned males were pitched against their dark-skinned brothers, as baby soldiers slavery were snatched from the arms of crying mothers, as my great-great-grandmother's mother was repeatedly beaten and raped under the master's covers. And I know it's a hard pill to swallow when the truth tastes so bittersweet, when the pain feels so deep that I can still hear the screams of little baby Africans who either strangled or beaten to death with wooden paddles because they were too young to survive the slave ride across the transatlantic channel.
when the pain feels so deep that I can still feel the cuts from the shackles that bruised my ancestors' wrists and ankles. When the pain feels so deep that every time I write about one of the greatest capers to affect black people in America, my pen bleeds all over my freaking paper. Yet they call us villains. But in every fabric of our society, the seed of racism has blossomed. While ignorant Americans want to play possum, like the subject of racism really isn't a problem. Like racism didn't spark dictatorships like Hitler and Stalin. Like black people not still regarded as thugs and robbers to be approached with caution. Like white people not treated dominant with a good head start in life, while majority of us blacks start at the bottom with few role models to follow. See, this is the result of a biased economic system that keeps the rich with a fistful of dollars while the poor work their ass off hoping the lights will be on tomorrow. So I say respectfully, is not all white people, but all of white society disrespects me by keeping Big Brother's eye on me, like when I walk in the store and the owner eyes be following me saying, "Hey, Herb, and bite from me." Here, where justice is supposed to be blind, I now recognize the subliminal madness and force and the bigotry that sometimes only a third eye can see. As we're portrayed in movies and TV as gangsters and villains or as fools in comedies. With little or no education and low life expectations, we are set up to fail from the day we are born. That's why many of my ignorant brothers end up inmates in prison, then students in college dorms. And yo, I am so tired of trying to fit into a status quo whose fundamentals were never designed for me and my people. And I can't even say it's unconstitutional because the forefathers owned slaves as well. For our heritage has been severed and pulled out by the roots. So being associated with Africa for blacks is now considered taboo. For we have bought into the lie that good hair and light skin is what's acceptable. But no matter how much we conform, we're still viewed as criminals. As our presence becomes transparent in the reflection of our mirror, changing us to something unfamiliar. For we are ghosts, and racism in our society is the silent killer. Yet they still call us villains. Thank you.
Thank you so much to The Gift. Thank you. It was so good to see you.
Nice to see you too, Amanda.
Thank you for being a part of this.
Thank you for
a part of my
inviting me.
life. I enjoy having it.
Unless you are not, that was very sweet.
No, I mean that sincerely. I'm always sad I don't get to see more of you. But anyway, make sure you guys check out The Gift. He is on YouTube. He's on Facebook. The THA Gift. Check him out. He has plenty of videos on there. Thank you to all of today's guests, Pooker, for contributing to our canvas, and to Woody. Make sure you check all these guys out and continue to support your community. We'll see you next time. Thank you.